This time on Blake Builds. We learn things on paper look different to real life.
I can't believe the difference.
After learning from the professional land surveyors, I hone my own surveying skills. And we discover that the ground is hard.
It's almost like a rock.
Blake builds, every day's a school day, and that's okay.
It's a weird thing. Once you buy new land, you don't actually know where the boundary of your new land ends and the next owner's starts. So we've brought in Ian here from NJC to help us accurately mark the land out. This thing here is a digital robotic theodolite, essentially.
It's orientated itself now, it knows where we are.
We've hit that second pin, so that knows the orientation for everything else.
Yeah.
Now, right?
But it tells you to go forwards or backwards, left or right, in comparison to that, so you know roughly where to walk to, and you can see yourself on the screen, so you know. And when you get close, it comes down to like a little target, like a little bullseye, and you can get like millimetre accurate then.
How long have you been doing this?
This will be my 23rd year.
Oh, man and boy then.
Yeah. I started when I was 17. And you come somewhere and everybody's walking up to you saying, oh, I'd love your job being out in the sun. Come back to me in like December, January when it's like -6.
When you look at a drawing, I can't believe the difference. It's quite rewarding, actually, isn't it?
It is really, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have a go at stringing it out. I think, marking it out. Richard Chubba-Dickens. Hello. My right-hand man, really, I suppose. So we've just been trying to mark these lines out in the wind, but we're about to give up, I think, and have a go another day. Isn't that right, mate?
Half the line paper's blowing away.
Yeah, he's got it all over his hands. So we're going to have a go next week, I think, as it's Friday afternoon, and we'll see how we get on. Right, come on then, back to base.
Next week came and went, and now we started to get bogged down in the joys of planning permission. 2 months have passed before we could meaningfully revisit the marking out of the land, and when we did, peas appeared.
So we're currently winding our way through Long Clawson in the breakdown lorry, nice and carefully. Apparently Clawson has more 90-degree bends than any other English village. Very nice. Home of Long Clawson Stilton cheese. We're on our way to a chap I've known for a long time, majority of my life actually, Anthony Hall's business, and we're going to borrow a little tractor and flail mower, and because I need to knock the grass down and the crop that's in the field. I don't want to spray it off really, I want to mow it because it's not so good to spray stuff off, weed killer. And I want to try and mark out the footprint. I've got this crazy idea to mow in the footprint of the build so that with the drone, with Luke's excellent drone, another bend by the way, I've never counted them, there's a lot, that we can see the footprint of the building, get a bit of a sense of scale.
Are we gonna? Do you want to leave the building as a P?
I don't know.
Or leave the building as no P? What would look better, Luke? Building as P's, or building there's no peas?
Peas.
So we
What
can
is
either
this
go
peas?
we can cut everything down
Yeah.
and have the building stood up in peas,
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
or we could knock the building down, but you have to get to the building and knock some down to.
Yeah. So you got that track mark. So in that
Or we
case,
could cut
with
the
that
bit,
in mind,
or we could
probably
cut the building out.
cut the building out,
Leave this in place.
because then the little lines don't matter as much then, because we're doing the cutouts, and that's more likely to be seen high
He
up.
could get without cutting. He could get in there and leave his deck up high.
So,
It's whether we cut all of this out and leave the building stood up, because it creates quite an impression stood like that if that was the building.
yeah.
Or whether the building's cut out,
or the building-
is it in relief,
Or everyone.
or is it in?
Negative or positive or whatever. Relief or.
It would look nice. We're going to have a go at marking the footprint of the building out. Now we've had a bit of a discussion. We reckon we're going to do it in relief or not. What we're going to do?
I think we'll go for it in relief.
So cut the building out. Right then, have a look at it. 39.5 metres. We'll use the other tape measure, the 50 metre one, to measure 51. We can do that though, can't we? Just leave it here because we can pull it out, can't we?
Yeah.
39.5.
So we're in the bush. We're in the thorn bush for this, Mark.
Let me go and get the tractor and I'll mow it. There somewhere. Ain't gotta be. Right, 22 metres that way and 51. That's 22
You got the 22.
and a metre back to you, 23. Reckon we've done it, Luke? It's either a stroke of genius or disaster. And I've got to line her up then. Actually, I'll have to stop the door. Back in the corner. I'll go back and mow a bit out. Then we've got to mark the other corner out. So we've worked this corner out here. That's what we've just marked, that one and that one. And now we've got to work this corner out. 18 metres we've got to go out with this. People at home watching this is how amateurs do this, you know. Okay, do you want to come and stand where I am? I've got to carry on in a straight line from where you are when I've cut it, 17 metres further. Right, that's the bit we've marked out. That's the bit you can see on the drone. That looks great. Now we're going to have a go at marking this bit out. It's going to be a lot more complicated, I think. Oh, and doesn't that look beautiful from above? The next thing we had to do was actually move the entrance for Langermack. Langermack is one of the longest running model aircraft clubs in the country and has been going since the Second World War. Unfortunately, their existing entrance ran directly through our site, so we couldn't have people keep coming through all the time. So we offered to build them a new entrance. Bit more.
It's a lovely hole.
Beautiful, isn't it? happy Thursday. Oh dear. Well, there we go. We've got a bit of a gate in, a bit of an entrance for Langamack. Going all right, actually, not too bad. Another day gone. Before building any building on any ground, suitable ground testing needs to take place. You don't want one end of your building sinking in the ground. Before you can do any ground testing though, you have to make sure you're not going to hit any cables, pipes or any other underground services when you're doing your ground testing.
Point 8 in the ground.
Well, there's something else that comes out in the ground here, but...
So these chaps here, we're doing core sampling today. We're going to do ground testing. So basically they core out the concrete or they just core out straight into the ground. So they've drilled this hole here just a minute ago. And then so we've got that much of concrete. And then there's this core sample basically of what it's made up of. So there's 2 days of this, different sampling. They're testing the integrity of the ground now to see how good a foundation it can make, or how good a base it is, I should say. To then work out what the makeup is of all the concrete and everything needed in it. So we'll watch them do one, and then we'll get to see if they'll talk us through it. So this is a mini rig, this is. It's quite cool. How far down is that then?
That's 2 metres so far, still going. So what we do here is doing each increment, we've got 75 mil. Right. So that's your start one. So your first 2, if they're any more than 25, that's what we call a refusal.
That means it's hard enough that it's not gone down.
What we do then, so let's say if it's 25 and it's there, what we'll do, we'll lift it until it goes to that bar, and between these 4, if it's any more than 50 blows, that's too hard to carry on.
Right.
These come hollow, and then you get your sample out like that. So that's the top end of it. So in theory, that's ground level. That's to a metre, then that's a metre to 2 metre. But we lay them like that, so it's like reading a book, left to right type of thing.
You can tell he'd done it before because he put that V on it to stop it. I'd have dropped it down the hole and it had disappeared forever.
5 metres before I dropped it, it slipped out the fork and it's screw up rods together and go fishing. That's all we do.
Stop shouting now.
So yeah, obviously the window sample machine, what you've already seen at the minute, bores and samples the ground in metre lengths. Hence why we've got four lengths, 4 metres. In a nutshell, I'm going to just go through it, log it, see what kind of material it is, whether it's clay.
So you'll physically
gravel.
look at it and you'll know from your experience what type of clay it is and its consistency.
So I'll log it to it and give it a certain description. Once I've done that, I'll...
We've got some sample pots, have you?
Yeah, I will sample it for contamination.
Right.
And potentially geotechnical testing.
And that's when they put it in a machine and test it.
Yeah, the contamination is all, we test it for metals, PAHs. I think that's all we're doing on this job. But we can test it for like TPH, so like fuels and stuff, and various other things, asbestos.
So what names have you got for us here then? What are these called? What's the different types of soils?
Not very exciting. Basically, you got proportions of silt, well, clay, silt, sands and gravels. Okay. And if it's predominantly one, you will call it one of them. And then you can have like sandy clays, gravelly clays. You can, have a mixture of all.
This is really dark, isn't it?
Yeah, so we have
is that the deepest point this side?
Yeah, so that's 4 metres.
Right. Wow.
So we give it a strength test. In a nutshell,
It is hard, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll say this is stiff. Lighter stuff is slightly more gravelly. Had it in the first hole.
Right.
Just pockets of where it's like a siltstone gravel, basically. So they're just different makeup, different compositions, basically. The in situ testing will give you a value, and then we have to send it off to the lab to get like an optimum value. What's in perfect conditions? What would its maximum value be? And we compare the two basically.
Yeah,
and they should be fairly
average.
ideal.
Take
Yeah.
an average
Well,
between.
in the lab they will they test it at different moisture contents. So in situ it'll be that it's natural at the time taken.
Yeah.
As you can imagine, if you have a period of dry weather compared to a period of wet weather, it can be very different on site. This is all the same fairly geology, where it started off as this and it's just weathered closer you get to the surface. But if you go from like a mudstone into a sandstone or vice versa, the colour changes can be quite drastic. So it all depends whereabouts in the country you are.
It's almost like a rock.
Again, it'll settle down.
It's really.
There's various different environments, as you can imagine. Back in
It's the layers,
back,
isn't it?
Yeah, sure. You can get clayers.
All right, mate. Thanks ever so much. Be interesting to see when they've sampled and look at the difference in the.
Where it is throughout
Yeah.
the site.
You can hear the note change, can't you, where you get to heavier ground?
Even when you've got your air defenders on, you can still.
It is noisy, isn't it?
Yeah.
And what's the worst substrate to go through then? I suppose clay like this is lovely.
Yeah,
'cause it's
clay
sweet.
is nice. It stays open. But if you have a bit of troubles with sands and gravel, obviously you have to case it. But it can be hard, so you have to drill it out, case it, drill it out, case it. So you can take.
Have you got different casings?
Yeah, so we've got 3 more lengths out in the van. So we can only case down. So what happens is.
So you case down to 3 metres and then sample the 4th? Then?
We'll case down to 4 and then just use the 5th. So what happens is.
Oh, it's a bit like that. It screws on.
So we have to use that all the way down, because if we use anything smaller, there's a gap between. So as we hit this in, the mud will come up it as well and it'll just wedge it. So what we do, we'll take this off. Obviously that'll be in the ground. We take that off. That'll be inside it. We add a bar to it. Get the other casing, put that over the bar, screw it on. Screw the bar on, and then when we've done more than 1 metre, we'll just use that. We don't need to use that.
Rather cup on the top.
Because if you've seen with the bars, is one shorter than the other.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what, when you're casing, that's what counteracts.
Gives you the extra.
The difference. But obviously, once you've gone past a metre, you're using the rest of the bars that are the normal length. But luckily with this job, we're not needing to case, so.
Well, I guess you don't know.
No, that's why I always tend to drill the first hole, see what's what with the first hole, and if needs be, case the first hole. But after that, I know roughly what the ground's going to be over the site, so we can tell if we need to case it or.
And have you had any sites that have been massively geologically different?
Not really. Like some main differences with that is some holes have water in, some don't. Right. So it depends on, like say, I think it was.
You've had some stuff you've hit the water table.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago I did like say 4 holes that way, there were no water, but then I came this way and there were like 3 holes and there was water straight away. So then we'd have to use casing all the way down to stop the water, so we can carry on drilling.
Right. Brilliant.
Otherwise, if we try and drill without water, what happens is, without casing, the water will fill up in here and you're hitting down even more, and this will just split. Right. So it'll all crack inside there, and it's a nightmare to get out. So you have to take the top off, the bottom off, get the digging bar through it, whack it all through. Just try your hardest to get it out.
Basically, it's like when it's going right, it's fine.
Yes.
But there's lots of things that can go wrong.
Yeah, if you do something wrong.
So you can get it stuck.
Yeah.
You can get it stuck.
Yeah.
You can split that.
Yeah, and it's a nightmare to get out of them.
And you can get that stuck.
Yeah.
So basically, it's all right unless anything gets stuck.
Yeah.
That looks cheap. That looks like a cheap bit of kit.
12 grand's worth of kit.
12?
These are really geological dependent, and on this site it doesn't work.
What? Because
it doesn't pick anything up with
the clay?
Yeah.
So that's firing radar into the ground then?
Yeah.
And that tray like floats on the deck, does it?
It just scrapes, it's got like a special plate underneath, that scratches on it. So generally when we set it up, then we'll press reset gain. So then you're getting a clean slate on each scan that you do. But yeah, it's just like a scratch plate on it, and that puts a signal into the ground, looks through the ground, and then it'll put it onto the screen. But we mainly use that for anything that you can't get a signal from.
Yeah.
Basically.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work on clay like this very easily.
Not very easy because it's like too dense to go through. So
we can see that from the sampling. It's rock hard.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
And right down the metre, they went to 4 metres over there. It's like almost like a rock. It's like a stone.
Yeah, which is brilliant for you to build on. So, I mean, it's perfect conditions for someone like yourselves to.
You ain't got to go far before you get good ground.
After having favourable ground results, you'd have thought you could start building. Don't be ridiculous, you've still got conditions to discharge. Whilst waiting, I got itchy feet and mastered the tilt rotator and got quite good at it, or so I thought. Oh look, I missed a bit. And we got to meet Pete and his big knocker doing a bit of fencing. Look at that, smashing it in there, Pete. And we can all of a sudden see the vast scale of the project ahead. Good bit of drone work there, Luke, like it. Is that man going backwards? And here I am using my pecker, doing a bit of pecking. And we've got the site cabin set up. Nice bit of bag work there, Ev. Oh, we've got some BIR branding, hanging a gate. Oh, look at that woolly hat. Winter has well and truly arrived. Here we are, moving the site boundary, just making the yard a little bit smaller for Jit and Vale. Oh God, look at them big coats. Winter is well and truly on top of us, and we're still not building. Next time on Blake Builds.
So we are about to actually break ground and start, which has been a long time coming. And we're going to start by putting in this ha-ha swale retention pond. What do you reckon then?
You can see if you get the camera on his face, he's like Cheshire Cat.
An awesome bit of kit. Right, I'm going to pull it a bit now, okay?
Yeah, go on. You got it?
Yeah.
Take it up. Oh, did you get that? You can bleep that one out.
Yeah.
Just touch more. Yeah.
What do we say? Better to see it.
Better be looking at it than looking for it.